The bridegroom arrives in the rapture timeline. There is a moment Jesus described that does not begin with chaos, judgment or fear, but with anticipation. A moment shaped not by alarms, but by longing. He called it the arrival of the bridegroom. And when he chose those words, he was not being poetic, he was being precise. Because in that single image, Jesus revealed how the rapture unfolds, why the waiting feels long, and what truly matters right now. Many believers think of the rapture as a sudden interruption to history, something that happens without warning and without context. But Jesus never described it that way. He framed it as a wedding moment, where expectation is assumed, preparation is ongoing, and readiness is personal. The bridegroom does not arrive randomly. He arrives when the season of preparation has completed its work. If you've ever wondered why Jesus emphasized watching so strongly, or why delay plays such a central role in his teaching, the image of the bridegroom explains it. Waiting is not a pause in the story, it is part of the story. It is shaping hearts, revealing priorities, and forming devotion quietly day by day. This is not a message meant to stir fear. It is meant to awaken love, because the bridegroom is not coming for strangers who happen to believe the right things. He is coming for a bride who has been preparing, longing, and staying close. And once you understand that, the waiting takes on new meaning. The timeline becomes personal, and the question is no longer when will he come, but how are we living while we wait? Part 1. Why Jesus chose the image of the bridegroom. When Jesus wanted his followers to understand the moment of his return, he did not reach first for the language of judgment, catastrophe, or cosmic upheaval. He reached for the language of covenant. He spoke of a bridegroom coming for his bride. That choice was deliberate, and it carries far more meaning than many believers realize. In that single image, Jesus revealed the heart of the rapture, the purpose of the waiting, and the kind of relationship he desires with his people. In the culture Jesus was speaking into, a wedding was not a single-day event, it was a process. The bridegroom would leave the bride's presence in order to prepare a place for her. During that time, the bride did not know the exact moment he would return. She only knew that he would. That uncertainty was not a mistake in the tradition. It was essential to it. Readiness was the responsibility of love. By choosing this image, Jesus made it clear that the rapture is not an interruption of relationship, but its fulfillment. He is not returning for strangers who happen to hold correct beliefs. He is returning for those who belong to him, who have lived in expectation, devotion, and loyalty during his absence. This also tells us something profound about the timeline itself. The timeline is not driven primarily by external signs, but by relational preparation. It moves forward as hearts are shaped, as love is tested, as devotion is refined. The bridegroom does not arrive when curiosity peaks. He arrives when preparation has accomplished its purpose. Jesus wanted his followers to understand that the end of the age is relational before it is prophetic. The bridegroom is not coming first as judge to his bride, but as beloved. That does not remove judgment from the broader picture, but it defines the posture of his people. Fear is not meant to shape the bride, love is. The bride prepares because she desires the bridegroom. Her preparation is not driven by terror of exclusion, but by affection. This is the posture Jesus calls believers into, not panic, not obsession with timing, but devotion that produces faithfulness even when the wait feels long. The bridegroom's delay is not carelessness, it is intentional. It allows preparation to mature rather than remain shallow. Love that has never been tested by time is fragile. Love that endures waiting is strong. Jesus knew that delay would reveal the difference. When Jesus chose this image, he was also redefining identity. Believers are not merely observers of prophecy, they are participants in a relationship. They are not waiting for an event, they are waiting for a person. That changes how waiting feels, it changes how time is experienced. It changes how daily life is lived. Once the identity of bride is understood, The waiting becomes purposeful. Every day becomes part of preparation. Every choice carries weight. Obedience is no longer about rule-keeping. It is about love. Faithfulness is no longer about performance. It is about devotion. Jesus chose the image of the bridegroom because it reveals what matters most when the timeline reaches its climax. Not how much information we gathered, not how accurately we predicted, but how deeply we loved, how faithfully we waited, and how closely we walked with him while the door remained open. Part 2. The waiting season before the bridegroom arrives. The waiting season in the Rapture timeline is not a pause between important moments. It is the most revealing and formative part of the entire story. Jesus spent far more time warning his followers about the waiting than describing the arrival itself, because he knew what delay does to the human heart. At the beginning of the wait, expectation is often strong. Faith feels alive, hope feels urgent. The nearness of Jesus' return feels obvious, but as time passes, something subtle begins to happen. Urgency can soften, routine can take over. The extraordinary can begin to feel ordinary. And without realizing it, watching can quietly turn into assuming. This is why Jesus warned so strongly about staying awake, not because his followers would stop believing, but because they might stop preparing. Belief can remain intact while readiness slowly erodes. The danger of the waiting season is not rejection of truth, but neglect of relationship. In Jesus' teaching, everyone expected the bridegroom, no one denied his return. The difference was not belief, but preparation. Some lived as if the delay mattered. Others lived as if it did not. The waiting exposed the difference. This season reveals what believers cling to when excitement fades. It shows whether devotion is sustained by love or by momentum. It reveals whether faith is rooted deeply enough to endure when nothing dramatic seems to be happening. Waiting tests motives in ways moments never can. Jesus understood that delay would be more dangerous than persecution for many. Persecution can strengthen faith. Delay can dull it. Delay works quietly. It does not announce itself. It simply stretches time long enough for affection to cool if it is not guarded. The waiting season is where distractions surface. Comfort competes with devotion. Familiarity replaces reverence. Spiritual disciplines can become habits instead of lifelines. None of this happens suddenly. It happens gradually, almost invisibly, day by day. But the waiting season is not only dangerous, it is also precious. It is where faith matures, where love deepens, where devotion becomes less emotional and more enduring. It is where believers learn to walk with Jesus without constant reinforcement from signs or urgency. The waiting forms the bride. It teaches patience without passivity, alertness without anxiety, faithfulness without knowing the hour. It trains the heart to love Jesus for who he is, not just for what he will do. This is where the timeline is active right now, not at the arrival, but in the preparation. Hearts are being shaped quietly, affections are being refined, readiness is being formed in unseen ways. The waiting season asks one central question again and again: will the bride continue to prepare even when the bridegroom feels distant? Will love endure delay? Will devotion remain intentional? Because when the bridegroom arrives, the waiting will end instantly, and the waiting will not be measured by how long it lasted, but by what it produced. Part 3. The arrival of the bridegroom is sudden but not random. When Jesus spoke about the bridegroom's arrival being sudden, he was not trying to create anxiety in the hearts of his followers. He was revealing a spiritual reality that clashes with human nature. We prefer warning, countdowns, and clear signals. We like to feel in control of timing, but the suddenness Jesus described was never about shock. It was about truth. Sudden does not mean unplanned. Sudden does not mean careless. Sudden means the moment arrives exactly when the preparation has fully done what it was meant to do. The arrival of the bridegroom is the culmination of a long, intentional process. It is sudden only to those who stopped watching, not to those who remained attentive. Everything in the rapture timeline leads toward this moment. The waiting is not filler. The delay is not accidental. The silence is not empty. Each season is shaping hearts, refining love, and revealing where devotion truly rests. By the time the bridegroom arrives, nothing is unfinished. Nothing is rushed. Everything that needed time has had it. This is where many believers misunderstand the nature of readiness. We often think of preparation as something that can be done quickly once the moment feels close. But Jesus made it clear that readiness is not something assembled at the last second. It is cultivated slowly, through faithfulness in ordinary days, through choosing devotion when no one is watching, through guarding intimacy when delay tempts distraction. The sudden arrival removes the illusion of later. Humans are skilled at postponement. We tell ourselves there will be more time to repent, more time to refocus, more time to grow serious. Suddenness reveals whether later ever became now. It exposes whether love was maintained or merely assumed. Jesus emphasized watchfulness because watchfulness protects relationship. Watching is not staring at the sky. It is paying attention to the heart. It is noticing when affection cools, when obedience becomes delayed, when intimacy is replaced by habit. Watching is the daily choice to stay engaged with Jesus, even when nothing dramatic is happening. The bridegroom's arrival is sudden because love that is alive does not need warning to recognize the voice it knows. The bride who stayed close will not be confused by the moment. She will recognize him instantly. The bride who drifted will still believe, but belief alone will not replace readiness. Suddenness honors faithfulness. It confirms that waiting mattered, that unseen devotion mattered, that choosing Jesus again and again during long stretches of silence carried eternal weight. The arrival does not create separation. It reveals what time has already shaped. When the bridegroom arrives, the waiting ends in an instant, but the waiting has already spoken. The fruit of the waiting is already present, and in that moment, there will be no arguments, no explanations, no adjustments, only recognition. Part 4. What the bridegroom's arrival reveals about the bride. The arrival of the bridegroom does not only mark the end of waiting, it reveals the outcome of it. It shows what delay formed, what devotion endured, and what love survived when urgency faded. The moment does not ask questions, it answers them. It reveals whether intimacy was preserved when routine threatened to replace it, whether prayer remained relational or became mechanical, whether obedience flowed from love or was postponed until it felt necessary. These are not qualities that appear at the end. They are formed quietly over time. The bridegroom is not measuring the bride by her activity, her knowledge, or her confidence. He is measuring her by closeness, by affection, by faithfulness expressed through relationship. Information does not substitute for intimacy. Correct belief does not replace devotion. Jesus consistently pointed hearts back to the inner life because he knew that outward appearance can survive delay while inward devotion fades. The arrival reveals what was happening beneath the surface all along. It exposes whether love remained central or slowly became secondary. The bridegroom is not looking for perfection. He is looking for loyalty, not flawless performance, but faithful affection, not intensity that burns hot and fast, but devotion that endures quietly. The bride who prepared did so not out of fear of exclusion, but out of love for the bridegroom. This moment reveals whether the bride lived with expectation or postponement, whether readiness was intentional or assumed, whether waiting was treated as sacred time or simply endured until something better happened. For the faithful bride, the arrival does not feel disruptive. It feels familiar. It feels like recognition, like reunion, like the fulfillment of something already alive in the heart. The bride knows his voice because she listened during the silence. She recognizes his presence because she remained close during the delay. For those who drifted, the pain of the moment is not caused by suddenness but by distance. Distance, that was not created in a moment, but formed slowly through neglect. The arrival simply makes visible what time has already shaped. This is why how we live now matters more than how we imagine the future. The bridegroom's arrival will not evaluate a single moment of belief. It will reveal a lifetime of posture, a pattern of affection, a history of choices. When the bridegroom arrives, the timeline will not ask how long the bride waited. It will reveal how she lived while she was waiting. Part 5. Living as a bride who expects the bridegroom. To live within the rapture timeline is to live as a bride who truly expects the bridegroom to arrive. Not someday in theory, but at a moment that could interrupt ordinary life. This kind of living is not loud or dramatic. It is intentional. It is shaped by love rather than fear, by devotion rather than speculation. The bride does not prepare by watching the calendar. She prepares by guarding closeness. She keeps her heart attentive, her love warm, her obedience responsive. Expectation changes posture. It affects how priorities are chosen, how time is spent, how distractions are handled. When expectation is real, intimacy is protected. Living as a prepared bride means choosing faithfulness when no one applauds it, choosing prayer when it feels quiet, choosing obedience when it costs comfort, choosing closeness when delay tempts distraction. These choices are not made once. They are made daily, often quietly, often unseen. The bride prepares not because she fears missing the wedding, but because she longs for the bridegroom. Love fuels readiness. Affection sustains faithfulness. When love grows cold, preparation becomes mechanical. When love stays alive, preparation becomes natural. Jesus is not calling his people into anxiety about timing. He is calling them into depth of relationship. The bride who expects the bridegroom does not live in panic. She lives in alignment. Her life gradually reflects what she values most. This way of living reshapes everything. It softens impatience. It sharpens discernment. It restores seriousness without stealing joy. It teaches believers how to live fully present while remaining eternally aware. Expectation does not remove ordinary life. It transforms it. Work, relationships, decisions, and habits all begin to reflect a deeper allegiance. The bride lives with a quiet readiness that does not need constant reinforcement, because it is rooted in love. This is the posture Jesus is inviting his people into now, not frantic preparation, faithful preparation, not obsession with the moment, devotion in the meantime, because when the bridegroom arrives, the bride who lived this way will not need to adjust. She will simply respond. Conclusion: when the bridegroom arrives, the waiting will speak for itself. The bridegroom's arrival is a fixed moment in the rapture timeline, but the meaning of that moment is being written now. It is being written in ordinary days, quiet decisions, unseen faithfulness, and sustained love. The waiting is not wasted, it is revealing. When the bridegroom arrives, there will be no time to explain intentions or express regret. The waiting will already have spoken. It will have shaped hearts, clarified devotion, and revealed what truly mattered. The rapture is not just about when Jesus comes, it is about who we became while he delayed. The timeline is not pressing believers to predict, it is inviting them to prepare, not through fear, but through love. If the waiting feels long, remember that it is purposeful. If the delay feels quiet, remember that it is active. If the moment feels distant, remember that preparation happens close to the heart, not close to the calendar. The bridegroom is coming. The invitation is still open. The preparation is happening now. Stay awake. Stay devoted. Stay close. Because when the bridegroom arrives, the waiting will be over, and the love that endured it will be revealed.